Hello, I am Teresa Mitchell. This show is called This Is Now Bridge to a Better World. And after some technical difficulties and difficulties with me figuring out which stream to use, I think that I'm ready to go here. So it's just past the top of the hour. I'm broadcasting from Portland, Oregon, so it's 9:03 a.m. And I want to dedicate this show to our thoughtful, cheerful, and generous friend Jabara, who passed away late last year, as Ani and I were this week informed. Thank you for all that you were, Jabara. Thank you so much. I'll miss your comments, and I'll miss your attitude. And last show, I warned that Musk was attempting to shock world markets. I'm pleased to see that the shock was not as severe as I feared. So if you withdrew cash on that advice, I hope you will forgive me. I think that part of the reason that the shock was limited to the dive in the stock markets Monday, ironically, is that people around the world do not understand the implication of the fact that Rocket Hitler infiltrated the Treasury and stole its keys. So more on that in a moment. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sarah, but that is what we were told. Some headlines. Tesla was paid $2.3 billion in 2024. They paid no tax. If you pay any tax at all for that year, then you are paying more than Tesla paid. The U.S. District Judge Paul A. Engemeyer has stopped Musk's access to the Treasury. But his little, referring to Twitter, I refer to it as XITLER, Shitler. His little Shitler boys have been in there, and he has the codes. So I want to discuss that. And I want to ask you, did you receive a letter? If you were on SSDI or have been in the past, did you receive a letter that confused you? Continuing down the headlines, billions are to be slashed from the National Institutes of Health. Billions to be slashed from many organizations illegally. The funding was set up by Congress. Congress proposes, the president disposes. The executive branch is meant to execute the departments that have been funded by Congress. So this is all illegal. If you have received a notice at your federal job that you were fired, no, you're not. If you're told to leave, well, it's up to you. But I would suggest getting together with everyone else, because it's hard to make a determined group of people leave the office, and it causes a hell of a stink. And I don't think it'll make your future prospects any worse, frankly. Unless you plan to get future prospects in the fascist administration, good luck with that. They already hate you. So these are the times in which one gets an attorney. Do you know an attorney? Do you know someone who knows an attorney? Do you have any link? What you need in your phone at all times from now on is a direct link to an attorney. And it's better if you have talked to that attorney and made some arrangements. That doesn't necessarily cost you money. But as I've often said, I know an attorney who once took on a case in exchange for a couple of macaws. She liked the macaws. So where there's a will, there's a way. And there is such a thing as pro bono. I don't like to exaggerate that, because there's such a thing as lawyers getting overworked and going broke too. So respect them, but get an attorney. At least one. At least an attorney. And for those attorneys who've helped me over the years, thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, Tat. Hello, Ani. Hello, Sarah. I'm glad that y'all are here. So, last show I warned that Musk was attempting to shock the world markets. I already said that part. I want to get back to the letter from Treasury. The letter that I got, excuse me, was from SSDI, and it warned me that I was no longer eligible for SSDI payments. And I opened the letter. It looked like it was from Social Security. I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking it was the end of the year statement, which I've already received, and was shocked to see that phrase. And then I realized that for me, that was years ago. I'm old enough that I switched from SSDI disability to regular Social Security. And so why was I receiving this letter from February 3rd saying that I was no longer eligible for SSDI? I knew that. And the Social Security payments that I now receive are the same as I got on SSDI, and nothing changed. So everything that's just fine with me. But why did I get this letter? Well, February 3rd is a clue. Those Nazi haircut wearing boys were in the Treasury. They got the keys. They have the keys, the codes to the Treasury to many, many trillions of dollars, our dollars. And they were fucking with it. So that may have been a mistake, or it may have been a shot across the bow. It may have been. It may have been an attempt to say, look, we've got access to Treasury. We can send letters from Treasury, and we don't like you. I don't know, because other things are going on. Now, when it comes to delaying this show, that was entirely my fault. I was trying to podcast on the wrong part of this computer. So don't worry about that. Some more news. Since the Centers for Disease Control is one of the targets of the maniacal saboteur Musk, we must turn to other sources for reliable news about our health. There is also the BCCDC, the British Columbia CDC, BCCDC on this West Coast anyway. They are online. Another is the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy, or CIDRAP, of the University of Minnesota. CIDRAP reports new to cows and worse types of H5N1 bird flu, variant D1.1, which is contracted directly from birds and has been detected in 6 cattle herds in Nevada. I got notice of it originally from Stephen Colbert making a joke about it. CIDRAP has a useful weekly podcast about health. So that's something to remember, CIDRAP, CIDRAP. Since the Border Patrol and ICE has been transformed into an even more aggressive sort of terror police, you should know that their so-called administrative warrants are not actually valid. And I got this from an AOC podcast. And it's very much worthwhile listening to the recent podcast from AOC. Those administrative warrants are not actually valid and are not sufficient to legally force open the doors at your home or workplace. Now, ICE and Border Patrol have a huge list of people that they intend to deport. And so ironically, they can't afford to not obey the law in some cases. So there really is this is a bizarre thing because there's so much law breaking on the part of the Trump administration right now. But this advice actually has worked. That is, do not open your door. They come up, they show an administrative warrant. You don't see don't open the door. You don't see a signature from a judge on that. That's not a valid warrant. So if they were to break open your door and go forward from there, your attorney, remember that attorney, would be able to reverse things because they are breaking the law. And they, as I said, they have such a list that reports come in that they went to a large apartment complex that had a lot of people who had green cards in it, pounded ferociously on the door, wielded their weaponry, said they had a warrant. The doors were not opened. They went away. So yes, it can be done. These are things to know from AOC. So pull up ILRC, the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, and help gum up the works of fascist racist terror by downloading and printing their multilingual red cards. Actually, several organizations provide such resources, including the ACLU. Turning to other news, which you may find some difficulty getting these days, Ukraine received French Mirage jets this week. Mirage jets have been around for a long time, but these are potent weapons that they have received from the French. Europe is adding to Ukraine's defense because they realize that Putin will take more countries next, and it is best that he be defeated, even though Trump has betrayed them and betrayed all of us by not just giving in to Putin, but apparently being a pawn of Mr. Vladimir Putin. Putin, on the other hand, admitted he was having difficulty expelling the Ukrainian army from Kursk, from the area of Kursk that the Ukrainian army took last year as a pawn for peace negotiations. This is turning out to be a very good bargaining chip. There was some questioning at the time in the hopes, from this end, I rather hope that people will not be so stupid as to allow Trump to steal the election again. He did steal it, and the information is at Craig Palast, P-A-L-A-S-T, gregpalast.com. It's on the second or third article down, the details. And that information came out later because Greg is an actual journalist and will not post an article until he actually has all the details, all the numbers. Yes, something like 4.5 million people had their votes stolen. Yes, 3 million of those were for Harris, and Trump lost the election. So screw him when he says that he's got a mandate. He has no mandate. His only mandate is to go to prison. So back to the USA. Allegedly, thousands upon thousands of Americans working in the federal government are weighing whether to take Elon Musk's offer to quit their jobs for the meager reward of several months' pay. But I urge everyone who's considering that to stop. Stop. Not just because there was an injunction, it may be offered again. There is no reason to trust Musk's buyout offer. Remember, this is the man who said he wanted to put all of you in trauma. He hates you. He has ultimate power. He thinks it's funny when you believe his lies. Don't believe that you're going to receive that check. He hasn't indicated where those funds might come from. If he intended to pay it, or if he intended to fool you a little better, if he had a better opinion of your rationality and capabilities, he would tell you where the money is coming from. It would have to be provided, it would have to be funded by an act of Congress. There's no act of Congress. You are not getting your money. And when you don't get your money, who are you going to turn to? Don't leave your job. Besides, his department is entirely illegal. Let me explain. The U.S. government, as you'll recall, has 3 branches: judicial, legislative, and executive. But now it has the 4th branch, an arbitrary and puerile oligarchy. This branch, which at first seems to be an extension of the executive, in fact, is almost entirely independent of it, as we see from their actions, their illegal actions, as the doddering Donald Trump gives carte blanche to Elon Musk in return for the many millions of dollars, I would note not billions. He got thousandths. He got a couple of hundred of thousandths of a billion, because remember, it takes 1,000 million to make a billion. That's how cheap it was. He got legalized bribes from Musk, and the deal sealing the fate of the former U.S. government was evident as the man boy leapt for joy on the stage last year and later ripped off an obviously heartfelt Nazi salute. So when I call him a Nazi, it's because he's a Nazi. And what do Americans do? They destroy Nazis. And I'm asking you to destroy the oligarchy in every way that you can. And there are many ways. So if this dodgy, and that's how DOGE should be pronounced from now on. Remember that. If this dodgy branch were real, it would be created and funded via Congress, the branch that has the power of the purse. So you ain't getting paid. That ain't real money. But who is it that has invaded, subverted, and probably grossly sabotaged the multi-trillion-dollar U.S. Treasury? Well, look there, it's man-boy Ellen and his team of Nazified man-boys. And as he said, that who will pay those checks? Well, I've gone over that before. You're not getting paid. Racist Nazification is proceeding with great speed. The excuse is that we're going back on DEI, and that'll make you think, oh gosh, they just want to dial things back. Maybe we went a little too far with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, we didn't. I mean, that includes everything from including people who have been squeezed out as a population to wheelchair ramps. It is the government that you know. It is a society that you know is DEI. DEI is a good thing. Patching the potholes is a good thing. It's on a greater level than that. You want DEI, you need DEI. So, as I said, there was no such mandate, and if there had been, it would be utterly self-sabotaging because diversity includes all of us. But many forms of resistance have emerged, and that's the good news. Now that people are understanding that this is indeed a coup, and that unless it is very vigorously resisted over the next week or so, we face years of fascist hell. And protesters met at 50 state capitals the day before yesterday, and indivisible.org has organized meetings across the country. That is left into the Democrats. They don't like that word, but I'm going to make them like it. I plan to attend the one Saturday, that's today, at Portland's Southeast Holgate Library at 10:15 a.m. So I plan to be there in about an hour. Finally, I'd like to end this brief commentary with news reports that affect me more directly. I am swiftly becoming a woman without a country. There was a report in Vogue magazine that a woman in California, Mary Fox, had her documentation stripped away right down to her California issued real ID and her birth certificate. They told her that they were going to arrest her if she didn't stop asking for it back. She had given up asking for a passport with any sort of marker. She just wanted to be able to get across the border. They said no, took all of her documentations, and it took getting her representative and several days of going viral on the media for her to get that back. Now, there's a similar story in Chicago, at least one that I know of, in which that person has not gotten their documentation back. So at this point, um, despite court orders, the power mad Musk administration is likely to strip your documents. Do not offer your documents. If you are a trans woman in the United States right now, my advice is to take your documents, make many color photocopies, get the original documents to a safe place, to someone you can trust that you'll remember. Do not offer them. Getting busted for not having your driver's license on you is nothing like having no documents when you need to apply for asylum, which is very well what we may all need to do soon. That's how vicious the attack on trans women is. And the excuse is that people like me attack women. Basically, they say that we are so degraded, so degenerate, in a word that the Nazis were fond of, that even being in the armed forces cannot be allowed, that we are dishonest. And in short, that we are bad and must be eliminated. And they are moving forward with the elimination. Few things eliminate you as well as stripping away all of your documentation in a society that depends on it. I mean, what sort of job can you get without any documentation at all? So I can't exaggerate. That's how bad it is. And I thank y'all for your support, your personal support. And that is basically what I had to say today. I've got this hopefully set up right for next week's Friday broadcast. And I thank those of you who were able to tune in. Once again, no change in status from Ani. I'm hoping that she'll be back soon, or maybe in the circumstances, maybe she should stay. I'm really not sure. So let's just keep fighting on. And my love goes out to you and to all the ships at sea. Bye now.